The LGBTQ community has long been due fair treatment, and in the world today, many places have stepped up to the plate to ensure that the future will be a place for everyone. Here we've gathered many faces and names you'll probably know, those who have changed the world for the better and did it through adversity. Open your heart, love everyone, and love hard. This is famous LGBTQ figures throughout history. 11. Leonardo da Vinci. Did you know that the man who was arguably the world's greatest and most well-known polymath was also a gay man? Many world-changing, non-LGBTQ figures have had a rough go of accepting that their genius forefather was intimate with men, as even Sigmund Freud recognized Leonardo's preference, but ultimately concluded that he was celibate. Well, sorry, Mr. Freud, but through Leo's own writings and other evidence, we don't think this was actually the case. This incredible painter, scientist, engineer, writer, geologist, botanist, astronomer, mathematician, and more accomplished incredible things in his time and is widely considered one of history's true geniuses. He drew flying machines long before they existed. He made discoveries in many scientific fields that he taught himself. Heck, the guy even painted the Mona Lisa and the Last Supper. Yes, Leonardo da Vinci was gay, and he was proud of it, and never once did it stop him from doing amazing things. 10. Alexander the Great. This great conqueror thought quite highly of himself, which is understandable considering all that he accomplished in his lifetime. He learned the ways of the world under Aristotle and managed to become one of the greatest and most well-known kings of all time. He was absolutely brilliant, was courageous as a lion, and had a drive that was almost unmatched back when he was alive. Any historian will tell you that Alexander the Great was attracted to men, and while some accounts may differ and refer to him as bisexual, all of the evidence points to him being a gay man. This is why many LGBTQ youths look to and hold Alexander as a hero, for he was immensely famous and did some pretty incredible things, and he didn't even have to be straight to do it. 9. Sally Ride. Now this is a woman that everyone can look up to, not just the LGBTQ, but the entire populace as a whole. Sally Ride was America's first ever woman to venture into space, where she was the operator of the robotic arm of the Columbia Space Shuttle. Her example helped empower women of all ages around the world, and she basically paved the way for women in STEM fields. She even founded Sally Ride Science, which had a goal to inspire young people in science, technology, engineering, and math, STEM, and to promote STEM literacy. Although it wasn't very well known during her lifetime that she was, in fact, a lesbian woman. She came out pretty epically by having it stated ever so lightly in her obituary. It was near the end when it was mentioned that she was survived by her partner of 27 years, Tam O'Shaughnessy, and it was enough to inspire and provide hope for the LGBTQ community across the globe. 8. Senator Tammy Baldwin. This woman is exceptional and is a history maker in a number of different ways. She was the first openly LGBTQ non-incumbent and first gay woman to become a part of Congress in 1998. At the same time, she was the first ever woman elected by Wisconsin to represent the state in Congress. Then, in 2012, she kicked the butt of her opponent, Terry Thompson, who was the former governor of Wisconsin, and won a seat in the Senate. This made her the United States' first openly LGBTQ and openly gay person to ever serve in the Senate. In 2018, she was re-elected as a Wisconsin senator, and she didn't just win, but blew her competition, Leah Vuckmeyer, out of the water. She's also got a major focus on LGBTQ rights. And just know that when it comes to leveling the playing field for those of any persuasion, she's the woman we should be looking to get it done. 7. Ellen DeGeneres. Okay, So we know that this one isn't a shock to anybody. Ellen DeGeneres is probably one of the most famous LGBTQ celebrities and has made a name for herself not only as an entertainer, but as a genuine human being as well. She has made some big, bold moves in her career, and one of the biggest and boldest was her coming out. She had been in the biz for quite some time by that time, and was even starring in her very own sitcom called Ellen. So what did she do? Well, after her show seeing 3 successful seasons, she decided to use her show as a platform to let the world in on her secret, the fact that she was a lesbian. She faced a lot of backlash for the move and even had to worry about threats of all kinds. But she pushed through and didn't give up hope, and look where she's at today. Her show, The Ellen DeGeneres Show, has been on the air for 16 seasons and just passed the 3,000 episode mark in May of this year. She also signed on for 3 more years in 2019, so we'll get the pleasure of seeing her grace our television screens for years to come. 6. Michael Sam. Michael Sam is a professional football player who in college was not only All-American, but the Southeastern Conference Defensive Player of the Year. He played for the University of Missouri and then quickly picked up by the St. Louis Rams in 2014. Before he made his way onto the field to play with the big boys, he came out as gay, and his being picked up by the Rams made him the first openly gay player to be drafted into the NFL. Sam said that he didn't come out as part of some agenda or for anybody except himself. And he said that his school made it really easy for him to do and was glad that he got so much support. He didn't end up playing for the Rams though, as he was cut before the final roster was established. He did get picked up by the Montreal Alouettes just before the 2015 season, which made him the first openly gay player to be drafted into the Canadian Football League as well. 5. Bayard Rustin. This brave man not only fought for African American civil rights, but for the rights of the LGBTQ community as well. In 1941, he helped to organize the legendary March on Washington movement and also organized the Freedom Rides. Then, to strengthen the leadership of Martin Luther King Jr., he helped organize the Southern Christian Leadership Conference and taught King more about the employment of nonviolence. Again, he served as an organizer for the March on Washington for Freedom and Jobs, and eventually used his position to become an advocate of gay causes, as he himself was a gay man. He ended up having to adopt his partner, Walter Naegle, when he was 30 years old to legalize their union, as gay marriage wasn't legal in the 1970s. When Rustin passed, he and Naegle had been together for 10 years, and a previous partner, Davis Platt, said, "I never had any sense at all that Bayard felt any shame or guilt about his homosexuality. That was rare in those days. Rare." 4. Barbara Gideons. This poor woman was treated very unfairly at a young age over her sexuality, before she herself even realized what it was. She tried to join the National Honor Society in high school, but was rejected because a teacher had a feeling that Barbara had what she called homosexual inclinations. It was the first time Gideons had heard the word homosexual, and keep in mind that this was the late 1940s, so she had no one to turn to, let alone talk to about it. In college, she was examined by a psychologist who told her she was in fact homosexual, and Gideons decided to do her own research to learn more. In 1956, she met with the United States' first lesbian-centric organization, the Daughters of Bilitis, and found her place. She was tasked with opening a DOB chapter in New York City in 1958, and the rest is history. She spent the rest of her life lobbying for gay rights and became a recognizable face on the front lines of history. 3. Laverne Cox. This young lady has been taking the world by storm since her debut as Sophia Bursette on the hit Netflix TV show Orange is the New Black. In 2014, she became the first openly transgender person ever to grace the cover of Time magazine. and had an interview in the issue in an article called The Transgender Tipping Point. In the same year, she became the first ever transgender person to be nominated for a Primetime Emmy Award for acting for her portrayal as Sophia in Orange is the New Black. She ended up winning a Daytime Emmy Award for being an executive producer for her documentary Laverne Cox Presents The T-Word, which also won a Daytime Emmy and was the first trans documentary to do so. She's been featured on the cover of Entertainment Weekly and has spoken out for human rights and has done whatever she can do to advance the rights of not only the LGBTQ community, but the rights of humans. She's an idol to many and is at the forefront of the charge for acceptance of everybody despite their differences, and she solidified her place in history while doing so. 2. Harvey Milk. While this legendary politician wasn't exactly the first LGBTQ person to occupy a public office, he was the first person to be elected to office in California who was openly gay. He served on the San Francisco Board of Supervisors, and in gaining the position, he became the United States' most pro-LGBTQ politician. It took him a long time to come out, and he didn't even publicly identify as gay until after his experiences with the 1960s counterculture. And it was also after this that he became an activist. He served just 11 months in his position when he and George Moscone, the mayor, were assassinated by another city supervisor named Dan White. Harvey has been called the most famous and most significantly open LGBTQ official ever elected in the United States. His assassin served just 5 years in prison. We've seen some amazing people so far, and we've still got one more to go. But first, we'd like to ask, what's your stance on LGBTQ rights and why? Are you progressive or stuck in the past? Let us know in the comments below. 1. Alan Turing. Do you want to know who was probably most responsible for ending the Second World War and keeping everyone out from under the rule of the world's most infamous Adolf? Alan Turing, that's who. He was a British mathematician, philosopher, logician, computer scientist, theoretical biologist, and cryptanalyst. And yes, he too was gay. Turing was instrumental in figuring out how to break what was thought unbreakable, the code of the Enigma machine, which was a device employed by Hitler and his army to send messages. This was a huge deal, and it helped lead to the downfall of the German forces. And not many people got to know about Turing's part in the whole ordeal, considering what he did was classified. In fact, instead of being celebrated, he was punished for his sexuality, as just months after his success, he was arrested on charges of gross indecency for having a relationship with another man. We won't delve anymore. If you want to learn about what happened next, Google it. But Alan Turing was an incredibly influential LGBTQ figure, and he deserves our utmost respect for helping to save the world as we know it. If you enjoyed this video, do us a favor and give it a like. Subscribe to our channel so that you can always keep up with our informative uploads, and be sure to check out this next video we're sure you're going to love.